What is up, bros and broettes? You know who it is, your one and only Maximus Pump, aka Pump Skywalker. And in today's video, we're just going to do a quick crash course or a brief overview of sports supplements. I'm going to take you through a sports supplement store that's in my local city. I know that there's been a lot of questions being asked about beginner fitness, about what kind of sports supplements are there, what do they do, and should I be taking them? I won't go into too much detail in this video. I'm just going to give you a brief overview of what sports supplement stores sell and what you'll find online that other people are promoting. And I won't really get into too much detail about them, but I'll give you a brief overview on what they are and what they typically do, and if you really need them or not. But I think I might make a separate video detailing on supplements that you may or may not need and what do they do. I used to work at a supplement store and help manage a supplement store, so I was kind of brought into the whole supplement industry. And when I left, I still kept in touch with certain reps and still kept up to date on certain information of supplements, because there's just so much coming out, so many supplements coming out every month, every day, every year. It's hard to keep track, but I try to maintain a certain level of experience and knowledge of sports supplements, because there are things that we do need and some things that we don't need. But let's watch the video that I made going through my sports supplement store. So over here, we just have a brief overview of general supplements. What you're going to find here is your greens powder, your fat burners, vitamins and minerals, daily cleanses, joint support, vitamin gummies, and certain powders like glutamine and creatine that may help with recovery and support. And I'm just going to do a quick loop around the tour. Over here we have protein bars. You don't necessarily need them. They are good to have for convenience. I typically don't eat them, only when I'm going on a trip or a road trip where I'm going to be somewhere for a long period of time. I'll get a protein bar, but generally they are quite expensive, about $3 to $4 a bar. Here we have protein powders and pre-workouts. Here we have at the top pre-workouts, but at the bottom is whey protein. Whey protein is pretty essential. You don't need it. Don't get me wrong, you don't need any of these supplements, but they are good to have for convenience and they are beneficial. Here we have protein cereal, 0-calorie sauces, protein cookies, and then more pre-workouts over here. And I'm just going to pause it really quick. So for the pre-workouts, you don't need a pre-workout, but they are good to have because they have caffeine and they have pump products, which just means they support blood flow to the muscles. So when you go to the gym, your blood is being pumped into the muscle. These will help pump the blood faster and expand the blood vessels, so that way you're getting more blood flow into the muscles. So it's going to result in a big pump. You don't need them. You can just use caffeine, but they are beneficial if you work nights and you just need to get through the gym, or if you do mornings, you just need to get up in the morning and you need energy. Pre-workouts are beneficial for that. They are, however, like I said, not needed, but they are beneficial and they are very convenient. Do I recommend pre-workouts? I do. Do I recommend them for beginners? Probably not initially, but if you have the money for it, it does help give you some benefits of the energy that you need to go to the gym and do a long, grueling workout. So here we have whey protein and amino acids, BCAAs and EAAs, which means essential amino acids. Typically, you don't need these because your whey protein will have amino acids in them. I would say that EAAs are more beneficial because they contain all 9 amino acids. So EAA, essential amino acids, and BAAs are branched chain amino acids. Branched chain amino acids only have 3 amino acids. You want the whole 9 amino acids, which forms a complete protein, which is essential amino acids. they are very expensive and they can be overpriced. BCAAs I probably would not touch at all. It's like buying expensive Kool-Aid, but if you have the money and it's on sale, you can use it as flavored water. But essentially, I would buy EAAs if you have the money, but they are not. You do not need to buy EAAs. They are not something that is going to help you with your progress, but they're convenient to have during the day in between your meals, along with your meals. You can add the water. You can have it halfway through your workout. You can drink on it while you're doing your workout to stay hydrated. So I do recommend them if you have the money for them. They are optional. And here we just have more pre-workouts and the thing with pre-workouts is that they come in many many types of dosages of caffeine. You typically don't want a pre-workout that has a very high amount of caffeine. Caffeine closes the blood vessels, so it's hard to pump blood through the blood vessels when there's a lot of caffeine. The pump products open up the blood vessels, so that means there's more blood being rushed to the muscle. So too much caffeine may restrict the blood vessels and just kind of like not provide a lot of blood flow, but the caffeine is going to provide more mental clarity, more energy for your workouts. It's almost like having coffee, but more tastier. You definitely don't want to have more than, like, a cup of coffee is about 120 milligrams of caffeine. Some of these pre-workouts come with 400 milligrams of caffeine, which is about the equivalent of 4 cups of coffee, maybe 5 or 6. Over time, you're going to become, you're going to tolerate a higher dose of caffeine. So you're going to be like, how do you say? You're going to be more inclined to take more and more caffeine. Like your tolerance of caffeine is going to go up higher and higher. So you're going to end up doing more scoops of pre-workout, more scoops of caffeine just to chase that high. So I do recommend starting off with a lower dose of caffeine, especially if you're a night shift worker or you're a shift worker. You want a low dose before you go to work, or even a high dose if you want to stay up all night. And if you're someone that's a morning person, you probably just want a nice low dose, but you don't want to go too high where you're overstimulated. So I recommend just staying between the 100 to 200 milligrams of caffeine. That way you don't build a tolerance up. And over here we have carbohydrates and creatine, and then we have weight gainers at the bottom. Do you need a weight gainer? I would recommend a weight gainer if you struggle with gaining weight. If you don't struggle with gaining weight, then you don't really need a weight gainer. But if you are someone that is very underweight, I do recommend a weight gainer. You can also make a homemade weight gainer. But if you have the cash, by all means, buy a weight gainer. I used to live off during my bulks, I've always gone a weight gainer because I've always had a hard time getting the calories in, and it's easier to drink calories than it is to pound back a bunch of food. So the only thing you need to worry about with weight gainers is that they contain a lot of sugars and simple carbohydrates. So basically things your body doesn't really need, like a lot of junk fillers, simple carbohydrates that spike your insulin level and your glucose levels, and then just crappy products. You want to find something with some complex carbs, high in protein, and some fiber, and no fillers in the weight gainer. That way it's a nice clean weight gainer. So make sure to check the labels. And then over here is we have a mass gainer, and then we have lean mass gainers, which are basically lower calorie weight gainers, about like 600 calories. So like kind of like a meal replacement. If you look at this one, they have something called a clean gainer on the left side, and on the right side is MRE. These are meal replacements, so they're about 600 calories, less calories, but they're high in protein, about 50 grams of protein, 48 to 52 grams of protein per 4 scoops. So if you don't want something high in calorie like a mass gainer, these are your better options, and you can have these right after a meal to get your calorie surplus up in case you're missing meals. You could always have a meal replacement in between or right after to fill in those gaps. And that's pretty much the supplement store. So I'll probably make a more full detail of sports supplements and what you should and should not get, but here's just a general rundown of a sports supplement store. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.